All right, welcome. Thank you guys for being on here. So at the end of this presentation, we're going to go ahead and do a Q&A for those of you who are on here live right now. So go ahead and write down any questions you might have, any comments, things like that. And at the end, you can unmute your mic or you can just type in the chat and I'll hang around for a little bit. And as long as we got stuff going on here and get those comments and questions all wrapped up for you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So what is it that we're here for, MintBuilder? What is the benefit to everybody that's involved? I like to think of it as MintBuilder as a family. We're a group, but I think we're more, kind of like-minded. We're talking about being able to protect ourselves and preserve our wealth. And, we're an economy that definitely needs it more than ever right now. We've had these economies in the past. This isn't the first time. But before we get into that and kind of go through all the process of it, I just want to give a quick disclaimer here. We are a precious metals company. We're experts in precious metals. That's what we do. I've been involved in precious metals since the late 90s and started a company in 2007. So been a little while in it now. But we are not financial advisors. So what you may hear or see on here is basically strictly opinions, but it really is important to do your own research. That's what the bottom line is. That's what I'm getting at here. Do your own research, make sure to define credible sources, things like that, and kind of go from there. So here at MintBuilder, we're going through making a new website and software. So we've got exciting things in the mix coming up here for those of you that are on here that are currently members here at MintBuilder. As you can see, our new logo, and we got what we're all about. That's stack more, spend less. That's what we want. That's what we want for all of our members, is to be able to buy more precious metals, spend less money, and get ahead. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So as you know, we're going to kind of go through a little bit of kind of some history, I suppose, kind of just what's happening now and from there. So we are submerged in financial quicksand. It's at a point where there's no going back. I don't believe that we're going to be able to keep a fiat, the same fiat dollar, or pound or euro or yen, whatever you're from, the fiat currency that we have, I believe is past the turning point. I think it's at this point it's just diving headlong in, and that's the way it's going to be. So the important thing is to understand is how much do you have saved, and I'm not talking about paper fiat currency. I'm talking about wealth. So we're going to jump into that and talk a little bit about what I mean with that, how you can benefit from it, and how it's so important. It's not like this, like, oh, that's a good thing. I have a little bit of savings. And no, this is extremely important in the age we're in right now, or the time we're in. And again, this is not the first time around the block. This isn't the only time this has ever happened, where we're looking at potential currency crisis, where there's a collapse inevitable of our current way of doing things. This has happened in the past. I'm going to talk about it in just a minute. So saving is the first step. Most people think they need more income before they can start saving. Maybe this year I'm going to get a raise my job, or I'm already running a small business, and my business is doing okay, but when we start doing more, I'm gonna start saving. It doesn't work that way. If you go from where you're at now, even if you have to scrape and scrounge, even if you have to find ways to just make it happen, putting away that savings, the age-old adage of 10% is a good place to start. I believe once you start getting in the habit of it, all of a sudden it's amazing. We have enough to save. It's just how it works. Maybe you just naturally cut out things like that you might not need. So more income is not needed. And we have to start with an emergency fund. Okay. We have to have something just in case. I think it's something like the average house, or it's over 50% of the households in the United States are literally less than 2 weeks from being homeless. That means bankruptcy, meaning that, they may lose their house, or foreclose on their house, or they could start that process, or get not be able to pay rent, basically not have enough money to afford to live. Less than 2 weeks. Now when I think of my grandparents era, they were born in the 20s or whatever, in that era, there was no such thing. Even though they were in the midst of the Great Depression, things like that, they saved money. They were prepared. So an emergency fund is the first step. I believe there's 10 bridge spans to get across the chasm of being financially, basically financially dependent. To get away from being financially dependent, to be independent financially, there's basically 10 spans to cross this, to create a bridge. And I believe the very first one is an emergency fund. having something put away. What do I mean by that? That means 1 month of income. So whatever you have to do, and it may take a few months, but making sure that you're saving that much and you're able to do it, because it's extremely important, especially where we're at. I'm not an in timer, doom and gloom kind of person at all. Common sense person. I just want to make sure that we're being wise about, myself. I'm, being wise about what's happening, things like that. That's where it's okay. So emergency fund is the first major step for this. I'm not going to go through all the bridge spans on this webinar because that'd be quite lengthy. But we're coming out with a book here shortly that'll explain it in detail to help you kind of get from, and you may be on bridge span 3 or 4, but the starting point for a lot of people is 1, and this is what it is, emergency fund. Now, how do we expedite that? How do we get there faster? By not saving trash. And I'm saying paper trash, like Robert Kiyosaki says, cash is trash, right? It is trash. It's losing like 8% and 9% at a time. That's horrible. Why would we save that when we can save other things? Okay, we want to save assets. We're always looking for assets. And when I'm talking about creating that initial savings, we want something that's pretty liquidable, and we want something we can turn back into a way of spending right away. Now, there's multiple ways of doing that. A big one right now is cryptocurrency. Nothing wrong with cryptocurrency. We accept payments with crypto and Bitcoin and other ones, things like that. There's nothing wrong with it. But I like personally to have maybe a little bit of that, but I like more physical. I want something backing my wealth physically as well. Again, not knocking crypto whatsoever. I've made my fair share on that, but I want something tangible in my hands. I want to hold real wealth. I want this. Real coinage or real bullion. Things that when I'm holding on to this, I know that this has been real wealth for 4,000 plus years. There's a reason for that, and still today it's worth money. And matter of fact, we're using it so much more in manufacturing, industrial uses, things like that. So why precious metals are great assets for your savings vehicle? Why do I believe that this is one of the best ways to start saving? And it's mainly because of this. Most mistakenly call call currency money. It's not money. It's never, once it got printed into this and nothing's backing it anymore, it's not money. And it has one destination, is 0. We're already 97 to 98% of the way to 0 already. So, and if you go back here to 1913, I'm just going to do a real quick history on this lesson. In 1913, the Federal Reserve was created, okay? J.P. Morgan basically was bailing out the United States government and the economy numerous times. I think it was 3 times in total, starting in the late 1800s. And finally he said, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to, first of all, be able to have some say-so of what's happening in the economy, because my money is the one that keeps going out here and getting bailed out. But don't let that fool you, because he wasn't doing it to not make profit. He was also figuring out, okay, there's got to be a way for me to also, profit from the situation. So at that point in time, our government kind of gave up control of the currency, which was constitutionally, we're supposed to be, our United States Treasury is supposed to be in charge of that, right? With Congress kind of having a say-so. Now in 1913, the Federal Reserve is created. Now they have most of the say-so, and now we have all over the world, the banks, the central banks, and the Federal Reserve. Kind of funny as it is, because one of them is called Federal Reserve. That's the United States Central Bank, and there's nothing federal about it, really. It's a private entity. And central bank is also funny because it may be central to each country, but it's definitely not even a bank. Neither one of them. It's basically just a private entity that's profiting off of making, rules of what's happening. So that was a huge detriment, and that's why you see a huge drop right here, going prior to the Great Depression. Then we got Roosevelt, who came in and said, you know what, we came out of this, we're gonna make things better. We got all this gold, but we want to collect more gold. So then all of a sudden, we put the order in place that says, hey, gold is now going to be illegal for citizens to own, unless you have jewelry or you can prove that it's something collectible, numismatic. And even then, it was kind of iffy. So he made it illegal to own gold, and that lasted for a very long time. That lasted almost 40 years. So at that point in time, we were already struggling. Basically our money is not really backed by anything anymore, barely. And then when the Bretton Woods came out, and they tried to reestablish that, and it took a long time for it to get any traction, and then it kind of went away. And then 1971, Nixon closes the gold window permanently. It was a shock because it was supposed to be temporary. He told everybody this is a temporary thing. It's only going to last, because he didn't want people, other governments mainly coming in and saying, hey, I want to trade this, U.S. debt. And I want to get my gold back. And a lot of that was happening. And, lo and behold, probably didn't have enough gold to back all of the notes that they were lending out. So he closed it and he said, whoa, we got to shut this down. So he shut it down. And guess what? I mean, the government never speaks any mistruths, right? Well, it wasn't temporary, it was permanent. And so now we don't have any ties. Our money, our currency rather, has no ties to being real money anymore. That's it. So now our dollar has one course of action, and that is to become worthless. And there is going to be inflation. It was designed to have inflation. So people freak out about inflation. Fiat currency has to have inflation, otherwise, but the Federal Reserve and all the central banks are trying to control the inflation. They want it to be a slow process. It's called currency for a reason. Think of an electrical current. Think of a current in a river. Both of them are currents, right? Currency is named basically off of that. And the reason for it is if you shut off a current, then it becomes worthless, right? So if you cut the electricity power off, there's no more current flowing anymore. So the electricity has no power. Same with the river. If you cut off the flow, it became stagnant, it's worthless, right? So the same thing with our money. When we stop the flow off, it becomes worthless. People who are in the top 1% or less, more like the top 1/10%, they understand fully that they do not want to hold on to US dollars or any kind of fiat currency. It's a means of exchange only. So unfortunately, like when I was raised, I want to get money. I want to hold on to this money. It's cash. I need, I called it money. That's what I wanted to do because I was taught that. But then also on the other hand, I was also taught that people with a lot of money were greedy people. So none of this made sense in my head. I had to sort this out over the next 20 years from becoming an adult. And so the important thing to understand is this: you do not want to hold on to currency for very long. It's only meant for a means of exchange. It should be, think of it as a dollar soldier. You want to send that dollar soldier out to bring back more dollar soldiers. If you're sending it out to just be wasted, then you're going to continue to lose dollar soldiers, wealth, and you're going to continue to get poorer and poorer. So what you have to think of is when you get these dollar soldiers, you need to immediately dispatch them out to try to bring you more money, more wealth. Okay, and that means that you don't keep it into cash. Do you think that that Warren Buffett, Bill Gates? Do you think that Elon Musk? Do you think that they have these hundreds of billions of dollars just sitting in a bank? No, of course not. When they say their net worth, they're talking about their assets. Okay, so that's a mindset to get through and understand. So that's what MintBuilder is here for, is to get you that. Now, don't believe me on that. Let's go into some facts. Here's some little known facts. Banks are trading currency for silver and gold. The banks, the very places that issue the loans, the ones and zeros in the database, and sometimes paper, but oftentimes there's not that much paper. It's just computer numbers, right? They're the ones, they're issuing this, but they're the ones buying precious metals, especially right now. Okay, Chase owns 675 million ounces of silver. Okay, that is a lot of silver. They have a huge corner on it, actually. They got in trouble for that a few years back, but again, they have silver. They're buying silver. Central banks, like the Federal Reserve here in the United States, they own a lot of gold. They literally own 25% of all the gold. 25%, 1.15 billion ounces of it. And you can research it and find where they buy it and they sell it. Right now, they're in a huge buyer's market, a bull market. They're buying a lot of gold. It's been a long time since they've sold off gold, but you have to wonder, why are they doing that? This is the point where we say, hey, maybe we need to figure out, why are they moving so heavily into precious metals, and maybe stop doing what they say and actually do what they're doing, okay, and becoming our own banks, which we'll talk a little bit about in a little bit later here. So the world fiat currency is changing. Again, it's not the first time. People are like, oh, the world's coming to an end. Okay, well, maybe that might happen at some point, right? But this is nothing new. This is nothing new. We've had these changes. I just showed you on the chart. In 1971, we had a major currency change, totally different currency. When you take away something that's backing it, now it's straight full-on fiat currency now. Now there's nothing backing it. And you go back to, when the Federal Reserve was created, things like that, changes have happened so much. This is not really any different. Yeah, maybe we're going into some kind of a digital currency potentially where there's more control, things like that. Another reason to have assets. But it's not really anything new under the sun. Now, here's another reason why we should be owning precious metals. Okay, we all know, we hear about the debt crisis and all this, and do we know what that really means? The U.S. debt is $38 trillion, but is it really? No, it's not really. That's the low number on the books. Actually, we're $252 trillion in debt when you're including unfunded liabilities. What does that mean? Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, all these things that are going to be coming due and are coming due, especially as baby boomers are going into retirement, things like that, which we're heavily going into that right now. That's going to be needed right away. So the actual debt is beyond anything that they can print their way out of. This is impossible at this point. So it's increasing at $1.5 million a minute. So by the time we finish this webinar, it could be at $70 million more in debt just while we're on here right now. It's just ticking away so fast. And those numbers, we hear these numbers and we're just like, oh, billions, trillions, like, wow, that's a lot. We don't understand what that actually means. It's numbers that are beyond coming back from. And so the biggest thing to think about is this, like, okay, so our interest right now, our interest payments that our government, and by our government I mean us, it's not that they're representatives of us. They're making mistakes, whatever may happen. It's nothing new again. It's not because if you're Democrat or Republican or independent, none of that matters. What matters is, as a country, we are paying almost $1 billion in interest payments, okay? But what does that mean? Well, if we're making 28 trillion, okay, that's the GDP, and 1 billion is just on interest payments alone, we're looking at bankruptcy. That's bankruptcy. If we're 38 trillion in debt at the low end and we're only making 28 trillion, I don't want that for my personal. If you take away a bunch of zeros and you say, well, okay, so I'm 38,000 in debt, but I make 28,000 a year, we're in trouble. We're in big trouble. So we're overspending by 36% a year, 36%. So we're going to transition away from that because, hey, what does it mean? We're talking about all this debt, it's bad, all this bad stuff. It's not bad, because really what happens is, when we look at what the crisis that happened in 2020, in March, when all the markets are collapsed, all this stuff, what happened is there became more millionaires and richer billionaires so fast. It happened really quick, because when there's turbulent times like this, like we're transitioning, it's an opportunity. This is our opportunity, and it's just an education. I wasn't educated at home with this. School sure the heck didn't teach me this. This is stuff that we have to learn on our own, and we just need sometimes a spark from a company or a person. And that's what it took for me. I got a couple sparks here and there from different people, and then I said, hey, I got to learn more about this. And after reading 150 books later, I'm like, okay, it's starting to click finally. Maybe I'm a little slow. It takes me a little bit longer, but it finally started clicking. And I'm like, we can make things happen. The Richest Man in Babylon, for example, book is basically talking about the fact that we don't have to leave our home. It's actually the Acres of Diamond part. We don't have to leave home to go and try to venture off to make a fortune. The fortune is right here. Money isn't out there. Money is right here. Money is wealth in our heads. We think of it, we create it, we can accomplish it. Okay, I don't believe that you can just sit here and do nothing and just think good things. I don't believe in that. I believe in action, but action comes from thoughts. You have to have a thought first, take action on your thought, and move forward. And you can't do any of that unless you learn a little bit first about what needs to be done. Now here, what I've done is I've taken some facts over the last 50 years, and I'm creating this this widget, if you will. It's going to be a tool for all MintBuilder members to be able to use soon. It should be ready. It may be a few months or not, but here's what it looks like. It's called the fair price pendulum. Okay, it's going to kind of just take some of the basic things that we need and compare it to assets, so we know what is the actual fair price. So if it's at the bottom where a pendulum rests, you know, it's not in motion, it rests, that means it's 100%, it's perfect. That's where it should be. That's where the median is over the last 50 years. Now, what happens with housing? Everyone's like, oh my God, houses are so expensive right now, right? They're so expensive. The affordability ratio is really high right now, I can tell you that. But housing to income, it normally takes about 412% of what you make in a year to buy a house. But right now, it takes 575% of what your annual income is. What does that mean? About 6 years worth of income. So if you had to pay nothing else to live, and you saved every single penny you ever earned in almost 6 years, you can go buy a house. It used to be, you know, 4 years, a little over 4 years. So yeah, according to income, according to currency, dollars, if you will, housing is way overpriced right now. However, what if you compare it to an asset? What if you compare it to gold? Typically, it takes 278 ounces of gold to buy a house. For the last 50 years, that's the median amount. Well, right now, it only takes 193 ounces of gold to buy a house. That's it, 193. So technically speaking, compared to assets, which are what? Real money, we can't keep comparing things to fiat paper trash money. That currency is not really anything to compare to. It's like throwing a rock over a cliff or throwing a feather over a cliff, or you know, other things. It depends on the, you know, not just the weight and how it's affected by the wind, but they're all falling, right? Well, that's what the fiat currency is, the same thing. You know, the British pound, the euro, the dollar, all of them are falling. You know, they're just falling at different rates. So we think, oh, this currency is doing so good. No, it's still falling. But assets have a tendency to not fall. You know, it's crazy when we look at gold right now. We're like, oh, it's at all-time highs. You know, it's almost $2,200 an ounce, and we're like, that's crazy how expensive, how high gold is. Well, it's not really. You know, before, when we had our dollars, you know, pinned to gold, you know, we're talking $20 was an ounce of gold. You go back 50 years, $20 was an ounce of gold. It didn't change, right? So we're you know, kind of numbed to understanding, or to the whole, you know, what's actually happening. But also, you know, we've been like generationalized slowly away from true understanding of what money is and what currency is. And so it's been detached from gold and silver, and there's a reason behind that too. Now, 193 ounces of gold is what it takes right now for the median price house. So housing is technically undervalued right now, and even with silver, I don't have it on here, I don't think, but even with silver, it's a little bit under. So technically, housing is really affordable compared to an asset. So it sounds like what we need to be doing is saving assets instead of saving currency. That way, we get ourselves ahead faster, and we accomplish our goals quicker, and we don't sit here, you know, and always wonder like, oh, all the bad luck always happens to me. That's how I always used to think. I'm like, everything bad, it just is how it works out. It's because I wasn't planning and then accomplishing my plans. So let's do a little comparison. So we understand why do we need gold and silver? We know that our currencies, you know, crumbling before our eyes. You know, maybe this has been happening for a long time, but I think because of the rapid pace that it's happening right now, people are starting to realize it and actually accept the fact that this is what's going to happen to it. So we know that we need to, you know, be putting in some kind of asset. And I'm here to tell you that I believe that silver and gold is one of the best assets you can put it into, because it's tangible for one, and it holds its value for two. Those are my biggest reasonings behind it, I think. And so now the question is, where should you buy your precious metals? Now, you know, of course, I'm here on a webinar telling you that you should buy it from MintBuilder, but you know, you can do your own due diligence on this. And you know, we put our prices, display them proudly, and obviously in the shop, and we don't have any hidden fees or anything like that. But I want to kind of show you a couple. I just grabbed some yesterday before the webinar in preparation, just to kind of show you. So this is a top retailer, probably maybe the #1 online retailer. They do billions. They've done billions and billions of dollars in sales. They're selling American Eagles for $34.57. Now, it's important to look at when we do price comparisons to look at, oh, 1,500 plus, it's only 32.57. Not bad. If you do a wire right, it's not too bad. But 1,500 ounces of Eagles is going to cost you a lot of money. Not everybody can afford to buy 1,500 American Eagles at $32 an ounce. So the best way to do comparisons is to first look at quantities. Okay, 1 through 19, it's going to cost you $34.57. That's more normal. And if you're going to buy more, sure, look at the next one. Now let's move on and look at. So when I grab the screenshot right now for our members, the VIP members, basic is kind of irrelevant because we're running a promotion where it's actually the best prices with a VIP, and 28.36. So you're saving 17%. That's a huge savings. Now, if you are going to buy like a monster box or something like that, which is 500 ounces, you're going to save a fortune. And again, this is one of the top retailers. Let me show you another top retailer, 34.55. This is another big. I'm not grabbing random people. These are the one I just showed you first was probably the #1, and this one's probably the #5. And again, so I'm showing you that the right price in the market is $34, for 1 ounce gold eagle or American silver eagle right now. That's pretty normal. So again, the membership pays, you're getting at the best price. Now, if you're coming on MintBuilder, and I'm going to talk about the membership in just a minute, before I go into depth on it, I'll hold off until we get to that point. Now, here's another really popular. I'm just showing you some of the really more popular products, the bullion here at MintBuilder first. So a 2.5 gram gold bar, $207. And if you buy one, if you want to save $2 a bar, you're gonna have to buy 100 of these. And top retailer, same again. Here at MintBuilder, they're $195. When I screenshot this, that's a $12 savings. And this is on bullion. So bullion doesn't have a lot of margins. So to even have that much is a great savings. Now, here's another example of one. $222. Again, this is probably the 5th or 6th biggest company in the marketplace. $27 savings. Now, if you're looking to wear your wealth, we have some people who do that. We have some bullion jewelry available. It's not like normal jewelry where it has a huge markups. So here's a 1 ounce. It's a full 1 ounce gold bracelet. It's guys or girls can wear it, and it fits any size because gold is kind of flexible. And this is 24 carats. It's 0.999 pure gold. So you're going to be able to stretch it a little bit to put it on and off, depending on how big. So it's kind of one size fits all. Now, our price here at MintBuilder is $2,400 at the time I screenshot. It's a $302 savings. Again, this is one of the top retailers. Okay, enough of that. You can do your own price comparison and look at it all day. You ever see anything cheaper, at the right quantities? Just email us at support MintBuilder. We'll get it with our vendors. We'll make sure it happens that we're the best price. Now, here's our membership, the VIP membership I was telling you about. So there's a monthly cost or an annual cost. You save a lot of money when you pay annually, right? And what do you get? You're getting 50% off the asset premiums. You're getting 50% off shop premiums. Asset premiums are the monthly savings. So we have a monthly savings program. As I was mentioning, it's so important to save. And if you set it and forget it, like say, hey, I want to save $250 a month. That's how much I can afford in my budget. You can click on what products you want. So you're gonna be able to save 50% off the premiums on that. So that's the difference between our cost and the retail cost. 50% off all shop product premiums. You're gonna get free metal storage. We have some members who their storage alone would cost about $75 a month, to maybe even a little bit more than that because they're storing a lot of precious metals. You get free, and we're storing with IDS of Delaware, one of the biggest storage companies in the world. And they're insured by Lloyd's of London, third-party audited, one of the most trusted storage companies. Also, your membership feeds a starving child. We've been working with this company, Feed My Starving Children, for a long time. I personally went and packaged meals with them numerous times. I love the organization. They have the highest amount of the donation money going directly to the food. It's over 91%, which is unheard of. Love the organization. Precious metals knowledge base, where you're going to learn more all about precious metals and so much more in that. You're getting that connection to that app. Open vault market place for seller access, so you can sell to our entire clientele with precious metals that you have, kind of like an eBay sort of, but way more simple. Access to Mint Wallet. So that is where you're buying precious metals. And I'm going to show you a little bit more, I guess, in a second. You're buying precious metals that are physically stored, but you're digitally handling it. So it's much simpler. You can buy, sell instantly with a push of a button. Free wealth planning app called Pocket Nest. It helps you get your budget on track and rolling. It's awesome. Discounts on travel and attractions. You know, we all have to travel sometimes, and why not get the best prices? So that's just a nice membership perk. So the good thing is right now is that we're running VIP wholesale membership promotion. This is huge. So normally it's $59 per month, but with this membership, it's $25 a month, and you will lock in. If you join right now, you're going to lock in at $25 per month. And the annual is normally $79, or I'm sorry, that was the annual, $25. Normally it's $708 a year if you do the math and add it times 12. But now it's only $299. That's way cheaper. And normally the monthly is $79, but currently now with the promo it's only $39. All right, so this is what it looks like. When you become a member, you're going to go into you have an account, back office account, and you're going to select whenever you want. Like say this month I want 1 gram of gold, you click on that. And I also want some junk silver, some 90% silver. So I'll click on the quantity of that I want. And that's good for this month. And then next month, you know, I want to change it up. So I'll put this to 0. And then I'll come over here and I'm going to, you know, maybe I want a 2.5 gram instead of 1 of these and 2 of these. So then I click on that and I save it. And that's what you can do. So you can change it. You can cancel it anytime. You can 0 it out anytime you want. It's totally up to you. But what I'm getting at here is that when you're paying for your membership, it's extremely important that you're actually utilizing it, right? It's kind of like owning a Costco membership or a Sam's Wholesale Club membership, and you're paying annually for it or monthly or whatever, and you're not using it. So it's important to start saving, right? And that's what this is set up for. So you can set it and forget it. Makes it nice and easy. So with your membership, you're getting your metal storage for free. If you want, you can also, most of our members get it shipped to themselves and then they deal with it how they want to, but it's an option. We have the Mint Wallet, as I mentioned. Again, we physically store the metal. You buy, you know, a couple ounces of silver, let's say, we're storing that silver and we're buying it in big blocks. Okay, so gold, for example, would be like a 100-ounce bar or something like that. Silver could be as much as like a 1,000-ounce bar. And so you're owning a piece of that real estate. And then you buy it, you can sell it. You can even trade it with somebody else. You know, we have some members that use it kind of like a Venmo with other members in their team. So that's how that works. It's real simple. It's physically stored, but it's digitally bought and sold. It makes it nice and easy. And then we have the infinite banking concept. The infinite banking is where you become your own bank. You become your own Chase Bank. And instead of taking loans out from banks where, you know, you're paying them interest and you have to get approved for the loan and all this kind of stuff, infinite banking is so much more. And I don't have enough time to go through it on this presentation tonight, but tomorrow we're going to have a live presentation on it at noon. So that's March 13th, Wednesday, March 13th. We're going to be doing this presentation with an expert. He'll be on there to explain the whole concept to you, give you all the benefits of it, do Q&As. And if you can't get on at noon Eastern time, we'll record it for you, so don't worry about that. But you know, because it's kind of middle of the day during the week, I understand. It's just the only time it worked out for the expert to come on. So that's what we're going to do for that. So the infinite banking in the short term here, just to explain it briefly, is like you're creating your own savings using a whole life insurance policy. And you're going to earn interest, let's say, you know, 5% interest or something like that. You're earning on your savings, and then you borrow money out of your own savings. You're borrowing money from yourself, and you can go invest it. You can invest it somewhere else, or you can pay off debt with it. Something that's saving you from paying interest, like credit card debt, or makes you interest with an investment. And when you borrow the money out, guess what? Let's say you had $10,000 you borrowed out of your savings. Well, you're still earning 5% on that $10,000, even though you've taken it out of there and you're using it somewhere else. So I've taken out of there, I'm saying I'm still earning 5% on the 10,000, even though there's no 10,000 in there anymore. I'm going to have to pay a little bit of interest while it's borrowed, but I'm still, you know, coming out ahead on that. And then I also now I reinvested in something else that I'm making interest on. So it's kind of like arbitrage, right? You're like double dipping, and the wealthy have been doing this for 140 years now, or something like that. 150 years is when they came out with this. And on top of that, there's more benefits. It's insurance. So you usually have life insurance as a backup plan, and it's tax deductible as long as you're using it properly. So again, I don't want to get into it too much, but infinite banking is like one of the wonders of the world. I love the idea of it. It's brilliant. All right, let's wrap up here. So just the last couple things. I'm not going to go into depth on. I just want to let you know, for those who are interested, we do have a refer and earn affiliate program, and it's one of the highest paying programs in our industry, if not the highest. Don't be fooled by those. Don't be fooled by those companies that push out like, oh, we're going to pay you $500 for referring two people, or $15,000 for, it's about building out teams and balancing and points and all this kind of complicated things that have to happen. If you're a numbers person, you love numbers like I do. I like numbers because there's no emotions in numbers. There's no opinions in numbers. They're just facts. And if you can do the math on any one of these different kinds of concepts of refer and earn programs, or however you look at it, MintBuilder is always going to pay the most straightforward money, the most money out, and it's simple. You make one sale, you get paid. You don't have to have two sales or balancing and points. You don't have to do any of that. One sale, you get paid. Simple, and it's good money. There's residual money. There's upfront one-time money. And so anyway, I'm not gonna go into depth on it. We do, if you want to know more about the comp plan, and you don't have access to it, you're not a member, then you get with the person who referred you, and they can get you a training video that shows you more about it. So that's that. That is what it's all about here at MintBuilder. It's all about education. Why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we saving precious metals? Getting you the best prices, getting you on that savings program, making sure it's done. And then, hey, for those who want a little extra stream of income, making a little bit of extra money as well, making some money you can use for savings or whatever you want to use it for, paying off debt, getting yourself ahead. So it's that easy. All you have to do is go to the MintBuilder website, click on the Get Started button. We're running the promotion. That promotion right now, we have it still running, and we're putting out a pact that if by April 7th we get 500 new memberships, this is kind of a challenge, if you will. 500 new memberships from all of March through April 7th, then we're going to go ahead and make this a permanent price. It's more than 50% off the membership. We're going to make it a permanent price. We want to help people out. We want people to, to come in and be able to start saving, not have to spend as much. We want it to be very affordable. And the whole thing here at MintBuilder is help people out, help people with savings, get this thing rolling. We have, again, the highest payouts, the least amount in costs. And so I think it's a no-brainer as far as that goes. So let's get this thing rocking and rolling. That's all I have as far as that goes. And yeah, you guys have any questions, you can pop it in the chat, or you can raise your hand. I can unmute you. Okay, I see you, Brett. Let me, all right, you're unmuted.
Can you hear me?
I can.
All right. So question, so when you're going into crypto, into gold or silver, like, do you have to, I'm trying to figure out if it's a taxable event, right? So is there any dollar, do I have to sell my crypto through a third party and then they buy gold and silver, or is it just kind of like a swap trade?
I got you. Yeah, so we use a third-party company called BitPay. So if you have cryptocurrency and you want to buy precious metals, you're going through this third party, and there is a small amount of fees, but it's far less than merchant fees if you're using a credit card or something like that. So, and as far as taxable goes, again, every state's different. And it's definitely advisable to kind of do your research, maybe talk to a tax advisor. But I can tell you here in Florida that if you're buying $500 worth of gold or silver, you don't have to pay tax on it in the state of Florida. And in most of the country, if you're buying, U.S. minted, like the Silver Eagle, Gold Eagle, the Buffalo, I believe, as well, those are US minted coins, then that also is not taxable because you're actually buying what's considered legal money still. So that also isn't. So I hope that answers your question there.
Yeah, I think I'll probably maybe have to talk to the third party and
Yeah,
see
if you're
how
looking
they're
for
doing
more
it.
tax, yeah, like more direct
Yeah.
tax information, that would be definitely to go that route.
So on your digital wallet, can you kind of swap gold and silver back and forth and arbitrage on there without going to dollars?
Yeah, so so when you're buying that at this point, the way we have that set up is that you buy gold and silver and then you sell the gold and silver. We don't have it so you can trade it at this point in time, but that's actually a good. That's actually something we can look into. That's a good point. You can trade it with other people for whatever that may be, kind of like I said, like a Venmo type thing. But as far as like say, hey, I
Okay.
got so many ounces of silver and I want to get some gold. I want to trade it. We don't have that stuff. You actually would have to sell it and then use it to buy the gold.
Okay.
One thing to note also I
Right.
didn't mention on the gold, you can buy gold as little as 1/100th of an ounce. So it's super affordable. I think it's like what is it, 20, a little
Right.
over $20. You can get in, you can start owning some gold.
So yeah, it's like I don't know if you're I'm from the crypto world, right? But
Okay.
so if you look at what a cryptocurrency DEX is and you kind of copied that in the gold and silver, so you're just swapping between the
Right.
two precious metals and you don't have to sell out of it, then from what I'm doing the research on, that is not a that is not a taxable event yet, right? Because there was no dollars involved. And so that might be a really good selling point for you
Yeah,
guys to
yeah,
be
we'll
like,
check
hey,
into that.
you
That's a
know,
good
we
point. Yeah, I appreciate that. I understand how a little bit how that works. That
yeah,
makes sense. Yeah.
yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. All right. Crypto. Crypto Dave, let's see here. You're good to
Hi,
go.
this is Dave.
How's it
Can
going?
you hear me?
Yep.
Good, thanks. Yeah, I also posted it there in the chat for folks that want to read it. But I have a Mint Builder account and a separate self-directed IRA through Rocket Dollar. So I'm able to buy crypto and stuff with that. I also want to be able to have use Mint Builder with that self-directed IRA. And I realize it should probably be separate from my personal Mint Builder account. What do you recommend? Should I just create a new account for that to use with my self-directed IRA? Could I do it underneath my affiliate link, or is that kind of discouraged? Just that I would check in.
Yeah, you can do that. We don't have the, a huge limitation on, with having multiple accounts, especially we have families that, want to have individual savings for themselves and things like that, and also for tax advantage purposes. So, yeah, because each account is like willable, transferable, it's its own entity, it's separate. You can do that, and yeah, you would just go underneath of your own affiliate base and set it up that way. So like if you have one in personal and one under LLC or something, that does make sense, and we have numerous people to do that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I don't see any other questions. Let's see here. Oh, I see one here. At the time you sell it, is it taxed? The gain is an accession to wealth, so it should be taxable. Yeah, again, these are definitely good questions, but very detailed, and we have to be careful, because obviously we start giving too much advice on that kind of stuff, we can get in trouble. But yeah, there is definitely things with wealth gain where you have to be careful with, and I think what he was talking about though is actually transferring it without selling. So there's a little kind of like what you do with a house. I know I've been involved a pretty good amount with property, and you can sell a house and not take the gains and put it in, to a side, and then you can use it again. So that way you're not getting, gains taxed. So potentially that's there as well. So, all right. Well, hey, some good stuff here, guys. I appreciate each and one of you being on here. I don't see anything else. So, um, yeah, exactly. That's 10:30. That's it. Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, everybody, have a great evening. We're going to have this same kind of presentation going on next Tuesday. We're going to keep these going every Tuesday at 7 for the time being. And again, tomorrow at noon Eastern time, we're going to be really going in depth on the infinite banking concept. We have an expert coming on that's going to make, I'll introduce him, and he's going to kind of go through the whole process. And I really encourage you, if you can be on, to be on for that. You know, I will record it, but you know, when you're on live, you can ask questions, and with having him on there, you're going to want to be able to ask those questions. He's a super nice guy. And it's gonna help get you ahead on that. So, all right, everybody, appreciate you. All right, you guys have a great evening, and we'll talk to you again here real soon. Okay.